Hi everyone, it's Jim Tolles. Today I felt like talking to you about opening a closed heart. It's one of my most popular blogs that I have, and of course it's a big issue for a lot of people because they want to feel love, but they also want to feel safe. They want to know that there's this place where they can open up and be well received. And it really is a gift when you find people who can share in that space and to honor that space with you. But for most people, they're locked up with kind of a closed heart, with this clenched fist, and they're hoping something will squeak in there to make them feel something. But of course, the thing about a clenched fist is that we have to do the opening. And this is much like everything else I talk about, part of taking responsibility for our lives. We can't wait around for life to make a perfect scenario for ourselves. It just doesn't exist. Some people will be nice to us, some people won't. It just goes like that because of our own egoic preferences. And part of opening the closed heart is really looking at our preferences, like what are the criteria and the judgments that I'm placing around my own heart? What are these rules I'm creating that have to be met before I can open my heart? It's one of those things where I'm really critical of the checklist. Like people come up with checklists for their perfect partners and things like that. And it's ridiculous because often the people that they really connect with don't even fit their own checklist. So that checklist becomes useless. All it does do is keep more people out than it lets in. And a lot of times the people it does let in aren't exactly what the people want. And along with the idea of the heart of love, our ideas are so small. They're so small. And so when people talk about love, they primarily are saying a heterosexual, sexual romantic relationship is so small, right? It doesn't allow the bigger space. It doesn't allow for homosexuality. It doesn't allow for different types of love. The child-parent love is kind of allowed, right? Because that happens, but it's not really focused on, right? And so these are some of the limitations we look at. And there's actually a lot bigger, much bigger field of love out there. And we have to start to peel that apart, because in peeling that apart in ourselves, we're going to make more space for the love that we already have to be expressed. Now, it's going to get a little uncertain. You're going to hit your walls, and that's where it gets scary. You start to see all these different ways where you're in a place that you don't know what's going to happen. Right? And I think some people actually find a thrill in this, and they use that fear and turn it to a kind of a form of excitement, and can really have fun with it, I think, especially in the field of dating. But I think, as I said, I want you to think much bigger, because you can absolutely love a boss, or love a student, or love your, train driver guy because he's always on time. I don't want to limit it. I actually, I'm being silly and serious at the same time, because it is much bigger than we give it credit. And the bigger we make this love for ourselves, as I said, the bigger we can receive, right? The more space we have to receive. Anywhere you keep putting those judgments back about, this is the only way I can experience love, then there's a whole load of things that you can't experience. And of course, love at its purest is complete unconditional acceptance. And it's such a beautiful space to come into, that complete unconditional acceptance, because it's not just accepting what the world has, it also is completely accepting ourselves. So much of the world and the way we experience it is partially a reflection of ourselves. Not entirely, but partially. There's a lot of the things that we draw into our lives are aspects of ourselves and different mirrors to see different parts of ourselves. I say not all of it, because life also exists outside the sphere of what we're trying to create around ourselves. And a lot of times there's great realizations come when the world does step in and kind of break up these mirrors that we have in this ideal situation or unideal. We may not actually like the situation we've created, but this is just what we've been taught through social conditioning. Hurricanes and natural disasters will do that suddenly. We suddenly realize, oh, I don't really have much control over life. It's a lot bigger and messier, and it doesn't fit my ideas about how it should work. Unfortunately, some egos run in and they justify the hurricane and start to give it a reason and a story behind it about why it had to happen in your life, and yada, yada, yada. That's what we've become. We've become master storytellers. And this is what the ego does around love. We create this huge, expansive story about when and how we can experience it. And if it doesn't fit that story, we reject it. There's a lot of great stories that we can talk about, and a lot of allegories I can make up about, how love can come to your door one day, and you will keep closing that door because it doesn't look like what you think it should. And it's not that we just open all doors constantly all the time. It's not reactive like that. And I think some people do that. They go to the other side, but they just let everybody in and become kind of this open door where things are blowing in and out, and they don't really take care of themselves. So an open heart is still a discerning heart. And discerning is looking at things and seeing what they are. It's like if you see a huge blizzard coming your way, you close the door. It's very simple, right? And maybe that huge blizzard is just a lot of upset people at a rally or something, or just a difficult day at work. And it's not closing your heart, okay? But it is taking yourself out of a situation, or taking away the emotional attachments that you may be putting on the situation. And ultimately, this is something we want to do regularly anyway. But step into these places, step in slowly. How you open your heart in your workplace is actually really important. There isn't enough love going on in workplaces these days. Everybody is just fighting each other, and it's, ego is butting against each other. It's not a lot of fun. I think a lot of workplaces would be way more fun if people are more open-hearted. And if you're doing something that you don't love, then stop doing that. And stop getting caught up in the fallacy that you have to do it, and that there's no other way you can potentially make money and do what you love at the same time. Because that's one of the big lies we have right now. It's like there's no way I can potentially do what I love and make money. Nonsense. Right, and you see, as I'm talking through this video, I've expanded the idea of love. Because now we're talking about love and work, because that's what a lot of people do. Is like 40 or 50 hours of somebody's week is working. And if you're not doing something you love, then you are constantly manifesting either mild contentment at best, but for most people it's a lot of discontentment. And some it's, anger and spite and growing rage. There's all kinds of things that start to fester the more you don't open your heart and do what you love and follow your love. We live in a world that has wars because people aren't doing what they love. They're caught up trying to hold on to everything, attached to everything. And yet all of this changes so much when each one of us takes responsibility for our heart and starts to open a little. And as I said, it doesn't mean you're just throwing the doors wide open and running around telling everyone you love them. Maybe you will. It would be fun. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to run around and tell everyone that you love them. But it is starting to bring this love into your life. Maybe you have a daily self-love practice. And this may sound kind of odd to people because, well, we're not used to love. Most people are just absolutely children in the world of love and what they know. They have not grown to adulthood. And so having a daily self-love practice where you maybe write down like 5 things you love about your life, or 5 things that you want to do for somebody else as a way of, being of loving service to others, can be a very, very simple way to just start. Or you can sit down and you can write 5 things that are keeping you from love as part of that practice, just to look, to bring awareness to how you've created your life, to bring awareness to where you hold your heart close. You can, go deeper, and you can start to look, at specifically at the romantic, sexual relationships that you want to have, and look at what is the point when your heart closes, or when does it open, and what are the criteria around that. And write those out, or talk to a friend about it, and just notice. Like it's important to be noticing more than judging, because the more you can just kind of have this gentle awareness from this is what I do, then it's less reactive to say maybe it's time for a change, as opposed to, oh, I should never do this, I've been bad about this, and so now I have to completely change to this other thing, right? That's still reactive. That's still the ego trying to create a new outcome that it likes better than the current outcome. And it's easy to fall into that trap too. So in general, I encourage you to think of the heart and love in much broader terms. I encourage you to think that love is currently here in this moment. It's already here. And if nothing else, just breathe into this moment and start to feel that deeper space inside you. And it can become a meditation that you could do for a couple minutes, 15 minutes or longer, where you just focus on your heart and on love and just breathing there. And maybe a lot of things come up, or maybe just love comes up. Whatever comes up will be perfect. And it will show you a lot about yourself and the things you're carrying. And the more you clean out this space, the more you open up this space, the more love can come into your life. And a much more fuller and loving and beautiful life can unfold for you. So as I said, my name is Jim Tolles. I hope this was helpful. You can find more of my stuff on spiritualawakeningprocess.com. And may you find more love in your life.